Hey there, YouTube friends. Masked Bandit here. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I always do appreciate it. And welcome back to Conifer Slopes. But it's a special day in Conifer Slopes because hopefully you can see what I can see. Something new. And by new, I mean I didn't build it. I have a guest with me here today. Super pumped to have him on the channel. An inspiration for me. Prolific Planet Coaster creator, Mr. Nerdchacho is with me today. Hello.
Oh, hello, mate. This is weird. I'm on your channel.
You are on my channel, and I'm so glad to finally have you on my channel. I'm blown away that you're able to week in and week out make such high quality Planet Coaster content. It's awesome. So
check you out.
I'm assuming every single person that's watching me already knows who you are, but if you don't, there is a link to Nerdchacho's channel in the description below. And how excited are you for Planet Coaster 2 before we get into all this?
Oh man, you've got no idea. Like, and keeping the secret so long has just been
you cheeky something or other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's been months as well, and I've been dropping hints on the channel for so long, and nobody has picked up on it.
So
you know, like
funny.
real cryptic stuff going into my parks,
Sure.
like number codes of when the launch trailer drops and that sort of stuff, and nobody noticed it. It's all there. Go back and have a look.
Well, I will have to go back and have a look.
yeah. It's been there. It's been so much fun. I've loved it. But yeah, so excited. Like, water parks are just what? And the resizing of the resizing. Yeah, the resizing of scenery objects is just incredible. Like, it's the thing you didn't know you needed until they announced they were doing it. And then when I was building this coaster for you, I was like, oh, I just need to resize stuff now. Like, just let me at it.
Yeah, not that we've ever had it. Not that we've ever had it, but that we will have it eventually is what's, yeah,
Yeah, it's the feature you never knew you need until they announced it.
Exactly. Well, the reason you are here is because of what we can see in the background here, that greenish kind of I'm going to call it a muddy green color. You're all about the hyper details, and you're all about, like, your profiling is so on point. I know you've worked in other people's projects making coasters for them, Moomin and others. So when I was starting to feel, when I was getting the vibe back, I'm like, well, I want to finish this, so I need some help. So I started making some phone calls, and you were my first phone call. Can you help me build a coaster? And you said sure. And then I told you what the theme was going to be, and you weren't. You immediately got more nervous. So I'm going to start walking. I'm going to make our way here. We're going to go past the. We're going to walk the docks here, and I'm going to go underneath this little overhang here, and that's probably going to be our first real good view at what we have here. So look at that. Oh, that is so good. Now, I'm going to tell everyone that's watching, this is an older version of the park that Nerdchacho has worked on. I've replaced a bunch of this stuff already, but you're going to have to wait a little bit for that. I know I said we were going to come up with a release, but I think this is more important and honestly way more fun. So, an invert. I did ask you for an invert. Tell me a little bit about your process and how you got to all that, and then we'll talk about the theme.
Well, so this is probably I think this is version number 3 or maybe 4. The first one I had this vision of the whole thing going across the entire land, and the whole idea being that the scenery was going to hide most of the coasters, so that it sounded like the screams were coming from inside the house or from inside the forest or whatever. It turns out that layout was, let's be honest, a bit trash. So we did this version, and what I did was basically looked at stuff like Osiris and Nemesis Inferno, just to see how that wraps around itself and in amongst itself, and the sort of elements and the profiling that you get from there, and which elements follow each other naturally. And then you just basically throw it all together and see what happens. It's a pretty typical layout, to be fair. It's like first bended drop into the loop, into an Immelman, turn around, 0G, eventually into a corkscrew, into the brake run, job done.
I see some
it's like
effects.
Nice and simple, but it's.
I haven't even walked in.
Oh yeah, have you seen the effects?
I am on the other side of the. I have not crossed the train tracks yet. I'm just watching it go through now, and my goodness, this is exactly what I was hoping for. I think I said I love the intensity and the compactness of Batman, the original, but I also wanted it to be taller. But my original thought, I think I said Alpengeist was an inspiration, and then you said it was trash, but you basically built Alpengeist, and I was like, oh no, that's not what I want anymore.
Well, yeah, and that was the thing. So Alpengeist was the inspiration because of the height, the speed, the length, duration, etc. But you're right, it's a drawn out coaster. It would take up the entire area, whereas what you were looking for was a bit more Nemesis Inferno style, Osiris style, rather than Banshee and Alpengeist.
Right, those European ones I'm a lot less familiar with. So this is kind of interesting because obviously your bread and butter is probably all the stuff in Europe and the UK, while I'm over here in the States. So it's really interesting to hear that your inspirations are just coasters. I'm a lot like Montu, I know all the Raptor. So, but to hear some other ones that I'm less familiar with, this is super awesome. I'm gonna cross the train tracks, and up we've got the your quintessential path covers here.
Yeah, it's like a tell me it's a Chacho build without tell me it's a Chacho build.
Now I have to ask. Look at this. So now the theme. So it's not so much anything you were doing. I'm a tough customer, I've realized. I say one thing but mean another, and that kind of leads us into the discussion of what this theme is. This is looking pretty dark and sinister, pretty spooky, and that's exactly what I asked you for. Before I even cross under the 0G here, there's like a little stairway over here. So what I asked for is I said, what did I say? I said kind of like Wicker Man, kind of like 13, Spooky Forest. I think that was my initial.
Yeah, but with the added bit of Dungeons and Dragons, Fey Forest. Did you say it Fey Forest, by the way?
Fey, yeah, like...
Is it Fey Forest?
Fey Wild, Fey Forest, that kind of thing. Like nymphs and fairies and... Yeah, but like creepy, like hags and all that kind of stuff. So
exactly, yeah. What we found very quickly is that European version of that and American version of that are actually very different.
Yeah.
Like our Wicker Man 13 style stuff is very baked in Norse style mythology, whereas over in America it's more. Well, I don't actually know what it's baked in because I couldn't find any like decent reference images, but when you were like, oh yeah, it's Wicker Man and 13, I was like, okay, I can work with that because it's mostly Norse. And then when I was showing you the original concepts, you're like, no, that's not what I'm going for. And then it's the whole but it all came together in the end. Like I managed to throw theme together, and you've got, I think, a mix of European and American.
I think so. I really do. I'm all turned around now. Where do I look first? Where do you suggest? Where should we go? Walk the queue? Should we walk around?
Blimey. No, I reckon let's go around to the station first because you're going to want to see the external stuff before seeing the queue, so you can start seeing the.
So head to the left, past the turn here.
That's it. Yeah. So like that. Yeah, well, I put the ride in there just to represent what might be there. Sure. Obviously, I don't know what you're going to be doing with it afterwards, but it felt like it needed that to finish the area off for me. Like I needed to know how it all came together. So if you're having a look at what's a gift shop, I've not done the inside of it because I don't know whether you wanted to A, keep it, or B, you wanted to repurpose it to be something else. And I was like, well, I don't want to tie your hands with what that building might be. So inside, it's not done. Normally, I do full interiors as you guys know, but I've kept my hands out of that one. But the outside of this one was a bit of a, I don't know, it was a building that just came together, and I was playing with some concepts and some ideas, and I was like, well, I just need to throw something in to make it look like the area is complete because the coaster was too exposed for this bit.
Yeah.
So I threw this together, and I actually ended up quite liking it. And I think what sold it for me was the fact it's slightly raised.
Yeah, that's really good because Conifer Slopes, famously not a lot of slopes, so any sort of terrain variance or path variance is great. I love it. I was telling before we started recording, unfortunately, I gave you this task and said, please send me pics, and then I left out of town for a week, and then I lost power for a week. So the only thing I've had to look at the pictures you sent has been my phone, and it just doesn't do it justice. So yeah, I love it. All the gnarly vine work and like the timber, that's in the vein of what I was going for. And all the curves, the arches and stuff. Yeah, that is exactly the kind of thing that I was hoping to see. And so I think you absolutely nailed it. But I also love that it's your own interpretation of this idea. And it's okay if this is going to look different than what I build for the rest of the area. It is this whole scene, it's this whole story. This coaster is an entire story, including everything you've built with it. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
I'm
And
up.
look, if you look at from the top down, the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that's on the roof looks really rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
Like you look at it and go, "Oh my god, that's a really shoddy piece of work." But that's kind of done by design because of the textured cam view that you've got now. It
Sure.
needs to look good from peak level, not from god level.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I would never have thought that. Yeah, all the bits looks like mossy roof covers and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's spot on. I do like it. And
This is path covers as walls as well, so you don't find
oh,
many of the in-game pieces or gridded pieces.
that
Most
was
of it
my next
is all
question.
custom walls.
Oh, good lord, how many pieces?
11,000.
Oh, for the whole thing, not just this
I was
building.
going up the fisherman and how many pieces he used. So
Yeah. Hey, it's all good. Quality work requires lots of pieces. This is great. You said there is no interior. Perfect. We can just do whatever. Awesome. But yeah, so this exit, the ride exits into this gift shop then?
it does, yeah. So
Cool.
if you walk up the exit path, you'll notice that you go underneath the corkscrew, and then you come out at the photo unit. But you've got really pretty decent views of the coaster from the right hand side as we're looking at the lift hill, and yeah, that was sort of like by design. I wanted the coaster to wrap around as much of the guest as possible when they leave. So the whole inspiration for this was supposed to be the witch that almost affects physics in the area. That's why you've got loads of
Ah.
effects and stuff as she goes past the. Oh, I bet you didn't see it actually. So the fountain at the very entrance by the 0G roll, as the train goes over, there's more water that goes down the fountain.
Oh, cool.
And the idea is the witch is affecting physics in the area, and she's like the commanding force. So I wanted her to have a real commanding presence when you were leaving the ride, as if much to say, you know, this is what you just experienced, and this is the woman that is really
Yeah.
controlling what's going
The
on.
big prompt I
Um,
gave was hag in the woods, an old
yeah,
hag or
yeah,
coven. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. I just love the splash effects and your photo
yeah.
booth.
It's cool. That's direct steal from Nemesis Inferno.
Okay.
Nemesis Inferno does that at Thorpe
Okay.
Park, so I can't take credit for that one, I'm afraid.
No, hey, you built it. That's awesome. So now, can I continue up towards the actual station, or should we turn back around and go through the
Yeah.
entrance?
So well, you know, you can go up to the station. You'll see the photo unit. I kept this really simple. I normally do much more detailing in mine, but I know that your instruction was pretty much don't do it
Yeah.
overkill because A, you want to add your flair to it, and B, you don't want to like damage the piece count too
Well, it
much.
wasn't.
So I kept it nice and simple.
Yeah, it was also like, don't upstage me too bad. Because I'm very much in the good
know,
enough
yeah.
category. So it would you did awesome. This level of detail is you mimicked my level of detail really well. How hard was it? Did it make you cry to not put all the stuff in?
No, this was actually it was easy. I say it was easy to pull together. It's never easy, right? Because you have to drag the inspiration from somewhere. So getting the inspiration and nailing the theme was the hardest part. I found that as soon as I had something that inspired me to work to it, it was actually relatively easy to pull together. So like the photo unit, for example, it was just a random building. I thought, oh, it needs to be something octagon-y, but I'm not going to be able to use an octagon because I don't have the space. So I'm going to do a half octagon, cut it in half, then you can hide the queue from behind it. And actually, it just came together. Like it just happened, and I was like, well, throw a few vines on there, put in some fake logs and all of that sort of stuff, and it just happened. So
Yeah. I find that myself, like it's a struggle, and then you reach that tipping point, and then it becomes really fun, and it all just kind of snaps together, doesn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Like, yeah, that's kind of what was with this western area the last few episodes. It was, once I grasped onto this Dr. Ollie story, that really made the whole rest of the area really come in place.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly that happened here with the station. So as soon as the station building was done, I then knew what the feel of the area was going to be. So in the very first versions of the images you saw, it just had a station fascia. There was nothing inside the station, and the back wasn't done. But I knew how the front looked and how it was going to look onto the area. And from there, it sort of sold the rest of the theme that I was trying to pull together. And that's when the gift shop came about, and the idea of the hidden hut that you're going to see, or the hidden house that you're going to see in the queue line.
Ooh.
That's where all of that
Okay.
came together. So we'll talk about that when we get round there.
Yeah, I'm at the base of the stairs to the exit here.
Oh, amazing.
And
Okay.
just, it's so imposing in the
it?
best way. I love the ricketiness of all the wooden planks. They look old and rotted. That's what I wanted. Old and rotted and Yeah, with the stone details, this is great. Because
Yeah.
like a lot of the concept art I sent you is very curvy, not a lot of basic walls, but that's almost impossible to do in Planet Coaster without absolutely ripping your hair out. So I think you've absolutely nailed it given the limitations of this game.
Yeah.
And like the brightness of the game, like the greens are so vibrant and things like that. I think that might have been, and again, on a little cell phone, what was making me a little like, 'cause we were both like, oh, I wonder, but no, this is amazing. I love it.
Yeah, and the straight lines and the straight edges, that lends itself straight to the whole European pagan thing. So that's the North, that leans into the Norse kind of building style, which is pretty much where I'm comfortable building anyway. But yeah, I was
Sure.
having a panic when you were showing the images with the rounded roofs, and I was like, I don't think I just don't think you can do it.
No,
Like,
no, not without thousands and thousands. No, I get you. Love the extra grime decals here. I have that just does add so much more mossy roofs. I'm gonna sneak a peek at the inside of the station. I'm gonna walk up.
oh no,
Just
sneaky! Spoiler alert.
oh, there it is. I'm not actually going in. I'm just gonna give it a quick. Oh, okay. So is the idea that this is the witch, or you are cursed by the witch, or
No, it's the idea is that it is the witch. So the witch is flying around the forest. Hence the reason why when you get to the queue line, you've got lots of overgrowth, because the idea is, again, it's stolen from 13 at Alton Towers. But the idea is that the screams that are coming from the coaster are the screams generated by the witch, and you can't see the witch because she's flying above the treetops and you're inside the forest.
oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's absolutely going to be. We're going to call it Hag, I think, probably, or something along those lines. If we don't, do you have a name for it? Did you?
No,
I haven't.
I left it nameless. I didn't know whether you guys wanted to name it, because I was going to get a custom sign in every done. As fans of the channel would know, I've got a guy called Spike, or Spikemus, who does a lot of my custom signs. It's fantastic. He's so good. But I decided to leave it open to you guys as to whether you wanted to name it on your channel or whether you wanted me to name it and put the sign in. So it's up to you.
Well, I think why don't we? I like the idea of Hag. I might just make myself a custom sign for it if you're all right with that, because
Yeah,
I do like making custom signs.
As you're walking past the stone temple and have a look at the fountain, you'll be able to see the water as it.
Oh, by the entrance. Is that what you're?
Yeah. And it's timed as well, so that the water falls down the waterfall. So it's got I think it's 2 or 3 triggers. So it'll start from the top and it'll go down in sequence in time.
This little waterfall here that's just it's just kind of bubbling right before
Yeah.
okay, cool. Right near the 0G. Gotcha. So I'm gonna keep my eyeballs on that. All right, so we're here. It's coming up. Oh, look at it starts to. It gets agitated is a good word for it.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome. And then it just trickles back down. Oh, that's so cool. Little things like that are so incredible and make such a difference. I don't play with figures enough.
Yeah, so I did the same here with the pre-show that you're gonna see. I was like, oh, I don't do this enough, and I had these visions of, doing a voiceover and having custom music, and I was like, no, it just needs to be simple, right? It just needs to be just effective. So you'll see that in a minute. But that centerpiece with the stones and whatever, that's movable. Like that's not its final resting place. If you want to move it, go ahead.
I think I like
it's just there because it needed to kill kill part of the area and like clutter it up a little bit to make that whole temple ruin bit make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see temple ruins and stuff as part of the whole storyline of the queue line.
Awesome.
So yeah, it's up to you whether you keep it or not. I'm not wedded to it. It's there because it's there. So
I like it a lot, so I'm excited for it. All right, so now I am at the entrance here, and I'm about to enter the queue. So let us head into the queue here. I love our safety information. I've started using that regularly, so that's exciting. Pass our man with rocking the mutton chops. Good Lord. So here we are in our first bit of queue. Pretty simple, straightforward here. Nice and I do. These are a few of the in-game fences that I do like. I like these fantasy fences a lot.
oh yeah, I don't get a chance to use these that often either. Because I find them very stylized, and I don't often get to do this kind of style of coaster. So Yeah, it was good to see this. You have to forgive the Z fighting, by the way, on
Oh,
the
it's fine.
on the path
That's hey,
covers.
I'm busy looking at the coaster going by and stuff. I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah.
The green don't die fencing. Now you were saying something about this is all mulch under here.
Yeah, that's right. So because I use path covers quite a bit, and I do that so that you don't see the joining lines on the queue
Yes,
lines and stuff when you use
I
cattle
hate
pen,
that.
because that bothers
Yes,
me. It really
yes.
does. Um, to make the path covers make sense, I use the mulch to line off the outside of the park. Sorry, the outside of the path, and you can then just put the path cover underneath it, and you then have this really clean line. So I wanted this to have a specific mossy green color, and the only way you can do that is by using the mulch or the pebbles
Yeah.
to make it all work. So you can do it in game, like you can use the in-game flower bed pieces, which is the mud.
Oh
But it just works
yeah.
better with the mulch.
I guess you could use the in-game coconut piece too before we got actual
Yeah, yeah,
mulch.
yeah. I think John T uses it over on Geekism, doesn't he? Uses that quite a lot. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly the same thing.
Another legend that's back recently.
Oh, I'm so glad he's back. Like
I know.
Pinewood Hills is literally the park that I just don't have closure on.
I know, right? Man, and Bro Nation's been popping off. Okay, I've turned the corner. I am now in the woods. Wow. This got real woody real quick.
Didn't it? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So this is when the
wow.
fantasy wood stuff really starts to kick in. So
Uh-huh.
I've deliberately made the queue line confusing because you're supposed to be lost in the woods, so you don't really know where you're going. And then of course you've got the coaster that goes overhead with the two turns, so the original first drop and then the turnaround.
Yeah.
And again, the idea being the witch is flying overhead and the screams are supposed to be coming from the forest. So. Yeah, you have that element of confusion going on.
I love how you've made the layout of both the ride and the queue such an integral part of the storytelling. That is so cool. That is just
Yeah.
so good. All right, so I'm confused. Do we go past this tree first? No, we don't. We
No,
actually
you
go along
don't.
the
So
outside.
you do, yeah, yeah. So you go along the outside, then you do a bit in the middle, and then it wraps around itself, and then goes around the outside of the first drop,
Okay.
in between the first drop and the lift hill. So the rest of the queue here, what I wanted to do is start to incorporate some of that fairy tale stuff that you were looking for, because at the moment it's very like haunted forest, and that's kind of not what you were going for. You're going for the whole witch fairy tale vibe. So I started to dapple in some of that fairy tale stuff, you know, like the wishing tree and the cauldrons and stuff, just to
Yeah.
give it that element of haunted forest.
Yep.
And then the dead swamp trees were actually what ended up making it
I love
like
those trees.
come together with
Yeah.
that whole that dead swamp tree sort of like merges those two themes together quite nicely because they
Yeah.
straddle themes.
I think yeah, I agree. I agree. And it's narrow enough that you can stick it in places. It's yeah. All right, so I'm turning
That's
the
what she said.
corner. Oh, hey, there it is. Innuendos.
It's always got to be one.
I watch your channel. I know.
Yeah, you know how this goes.
I didn't make you build a Woody though.
Probably just as well.
Oh, there's so much. Oh my god, even more Q.
Oh yeah, there's far too much queue for Conifer Slopes. This is like this type of queue that you would find at Alton Towers. This would probably hold. I think the calculation I worked out was 3.5 hours worth of people.
Oh, that's so much. That is so much. All right, I don't even know where to go. I don't want to walk the cattle pens, but I'm just giving views of them. So I've walked around the tree. Now it looks like it continues further back into the forest. Yeah, into some gnarled trees and there's some yeah, I love the wells here. That's cool. Is that I don't even know what piece that is. Like the fountain looking things with the
Yeah,
stone?
that's the fairy tale. The fairy tale piece.
Oh, see, I've barely used any of these pieces. That's great. Oh, there's a witch! I found her.
She's one of a couple of witches as well.
Oh,
So
so
I've
we have
used
our
two
own-
of.
Yeah. We have our own little coven then.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Maybe
So there's
that's
two
the name of the
witches that,
coaster.
that we've used. So there's the. I don't know if she's a Disney witch, to be honest with you. So
Yeah,
I don't know
that
if it.
totally is.
Is
That
it?
is yeah. Don't copyright me, Disney. That is, I
Yeah.
think that's. I'm pretty sure that's Snow White. Pretty sure that's the witch from Snow White.
Oh yeah, yeah, it probably is actually. I just found a witch on the workshop. I was like, yoink, that'll do.
Yep.
And then you've also got the in-game one as well.
Yeah, I
so,
see
but
her
she's
with her
not set up
cauldron over
figure.
here.
Yeah. She's not set up to trigger or anything. Because I wanted her to be static.
Yep, she's fiberglass or whatever she'd be made out of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
spent the money on the ride, not
yeah.
the
Speaking
animatronics.
of, like you said, now we're on the other side here. The coaster is just in your face in the best
Mhm.
way. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
The idea of the
Oh.
swamp came quite late as well. So this whole middle area was supposed to also be overgrown, but I was like, but I'm probably overdoing the overgrown bit. It needed to breathe. The area needed to breathe. So that's where the swamp came from.
I agree.
But
Yeah, I agree. This clearance here, this clear area with the murky water down there, if you can, yeah, with the yeah, I love it. And then it gives you the opportunity to have the water triggers, adding some more kinetic energy to the
exactly.
area.
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah. And it also gives the opportunity for me to put the footer shoes in as well. Like,
Ah, yeah, I noticed. There they are. Yeah, because that's a thing in the UK, huh? You don't are they underground or how does that work? Because here in America, every coaster you could see the footers.
depends on the area that you are designing. So if it's in water, for example, you would have your footer sticking out of the water so that you don't corrode the metal. But if you're integrating path with it, you've got two choices. It depends on the likelihood of maintenance that's needed for that part of the coaster. So if you don't think there's going to be much maintenance needed on the supports, you can bury the shoes underneath the pathway. So like Swarm, for example, on the lift hill is buried. But if you think you're going to need to replace them at some point because it's a high stress area, then you have them sticking up above the ground so that you can just easily dig out that area, replace the footer, and be back with it.
Well, there you go. The more you know. Do do do
The more you know.
do. That's cool. That's interesting. Yeah. No, we were at Canada's Wonderland, and one of the wooden. It had rained heavily. One of the wooden coasters supports was footers was completely under the water. It's like that's not good.
Yeah, that's
All
not
right.
gonna work.
I have reached a building.
Amazing. So this building, this was the one that I think you were probably the most nervous about because
Uh-huh.
it needed to fit in with the lore. The idea with this one is that the whole thing is a village, right? So the whole thing is the village where the witch lives, and you've got multiple covens and whatever. But this shack is supposed to be hidden in the forest. It's almost like the bit that nobody really knows exists. Nobody really knows it's there. But that's where the witches do all of their like nastier sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I wanted you to be able to come through into the queue, into this hidden hut almost, or it's into this hidden house
Yeah.
that's a different style. It's a different build style, so you sort of like got variation and stuff on the themes, but it's more sinister than fairy tale. So you walk in to the first bit, to the first cattle
Hold on,
pen,
hold on.
and
Before
the
you walk
idea-
in, my love, I don't know if this was intentional, but this triangle detail, like the whole idea of threes and eights, I think it's threes and eights are huge numbers in like fey stuff. So the triangle with all the details in there, that's, I don't know, it just really does it for me on the roof line there. Go ahead
I'm
and
just gonna go. Yeah,
say it was
that's
intentional. Yeah.
It's
There you go.
definitely not random pieces thrown together in a random
absolutely
order.
not.
at
No.
all.
Mm-mm. All
But
right.
you're right. It looks decent.
It looks decent. You're too modest. So I
It
walk
does
in.
look decent. Yeah.
Okay, what do we got here with these screens?
Yeah, so there's nothing triggered on these screens. So if you want to put something in,
Okay.
feel free to. The idea is that this is just supposed to be a bit of a whole pen. It would be dark, so it's supposed to be like
Here, I'm gonna.
sensory
I think
deprivation.
I'm gonna change it to nighttime now.
Good shout. Yeah.
Let's see what this looks. Yep, this looks great.
Yeah, so you've got lots of low-level light in here. You've just got just enough light to get it through. Again, this is inspired a little bit by the Smiler and the pre-queue
Okay.
bit to the station, where you walk in and you've got all the projections and stuff going on, and it's all a bit confusing. So this is supposed to be low-level lighting, nothing happening in here, so therefore you don't need details and stuff. It's just the start
you.
of
I
sensory
get you.
deprivation, and this idea that this whole space is quite daunting, and there's something sinister going on. It's almost like the pre-jump scare, if you like.
Okay.
But then when you walk through into the pre-show,
Yes.
where it says, wait here, peasant,
Wait here.
this is where you actually start to get all the animations and stuff that kick on. It's triggered to the lift hill. So as the train goes over the lift hill, it will trigger off all the animations.
Oh, it's flashing and stuff.
I just threw together a sequence. Say again.
Oh, there it goes. It's going off. There's like lightning and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
music
yeah.
and sound effects. So
it starts with the lights going off. So the idea is that you're walking into the witch's living room, if you like, and as you're stood there, the witch realizes you're there because she stood in the corner, and the lights go off, so you're in pitch black. You're not in pitch black because the game doesn't like doing that, but it goes into pitch black, and then all the stuff starts to happen. Her incantation starts to happen. That's then again the idea of affecting physics. There's a thunderclap that goes off, and sounds of wolves and stuff that are going on, and then she does her incantation. There's lots of effects like smoke and falling dry ice and all of that kicking off.
It was going while you were talking through it. It was perfect. Hey. We're gonna make sure we hit timing. It in cinematics so that everyone can hear it really well, because I do have my volume turned down low, but everyone's gonna need to see and hear this because that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, and then
I'm chuffed with this pre-show. Like, again, it was the whole idea of doing the Wicker Man style pre-show, because that's decent.
See, it's funny. Like, these are all coasters. It's like, I've heard of this coaster, but I don't know anything about it.
But I don't know what it is.
I mean, I know what it is, but I've never. Oh, it's going again.
But the idea of this whole space was it's her living room. You've intruded in her space. She's realised you're there, and you now need to escape through her escape hatch. Remembering that this is like the extra building where stuff that shouldn't happen does happen. Mm-hmm. So that's why you've got the hole in the wall, because you then go out into what's simulated as the garden.
Oh, look at
night time. Where the second witch is, and you've got like the star panels and stuff, but then you have to go through a cave.
Oh,
and that cave are the stairs up to the station.
That's awesome. So I see let's go up into the station. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna run. I'm gonna run because I'm so scared.
And then you come out into the station, which is essentially the second house that they've got, and that's the one that's like proper creepy.
Wow. The lighting in here and the vines and this is incredible. Wow. I love this. I love everything about this. This is so good. Like, holy moly. Beyond words. Like, all your lovely details are there with with all the hydraulics and stuff. Man, your lane or your row numbers. I love that. This is I went through the wall. This is exactly what I was. Yeah, this is why when you want a coaster done right, you talk to Nerdchacho, because this is just. Oh, look at I love the scarecrow heads and skulls. That's great. Mm-hmm. That's
on the sidewalk.
Yep, yeah. That's absolutely nailing the vibe there. Oh, and the ride attendants. This is proper scary, my man. I love this. Oh, it's so good.
Exactly how it should be pulled together.
It all comes together. You have taken two unique ideas, and the station is the hybrid of both ideas. Like, that's really well done. So good.
Yeah. So, and for me, the station had to merge those two ideas together, because we have the whole haunted forest, Norse horror stuff versus the Fey Forest Dungeons and Dragons gardens that you wanted, and I needed to find a way of pulling the two together, and this was pretty much it. It was like that witch's house where the two themes meet.
That's incredible. This is so good. I'm gonna save the POV for the end. Now I'm in the exit. Oh, your storage bins. Awesome. I'm a big fan of storage bins.
And you've also got the push points and stuff that you find on the invert. And it uses, I don't know if it's the same over in America, but this uses the UK compliance, in the sense you have to have a member of staff either side of the front row of the train and either side of the back row of the train. And they all have to have clear sight of the entire train before the train can dispatch. I don't know if it's the same over in America, but that's how it works.
That sounds about right. I know for some of the coasters, that's absolutely what they have. 4 ride attendants on the platform. Yeah. I could be wrong. I am not an expert in that, but other people will correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's very similar.
They correct me all the time. But that came from my Merlin days, when I used to be able to do all the training documents and stuff for this type of coaster. That's how I've amassed all of this knowledge. The bit that I didn't do, though, and this is deliberate, I didn't do an operator cabin.
Okay.
Purely because I didn't have the space where the operator cabin is, and it didn't fit into the theme. Because what I wanted to do the pieces were too thick
Sure.
to be able to create the cabin.
Okay.
So I just binned it off and was like, actually, it just looks better without
fine.
it. So
It's fine. You know what? I wouldn't have even noticed if you didn't say anything. Cool. And then we popped right back out, and we're where we were. All right, so now we got to go up and do an overview because we've been in TegidCam this whole time. So here it is. I'm just giving an overview now of the entire thing. And the green, the color you've chosen, is so good for the coaster. So now we get a better look.
it blends.
Yeah, now we get a better look at this back half here, the ending, that corkscrew into the turnaround. And of course, we've got all the functional transfer track and all of that with your interior. And thank you for not cluttering it out. Gosh.
It was tempting too. Let's be honest. And I didn't know what your design for the back end of the park was going to be, so I just left it open. I did the minimum that was needed. So you've got tread plates down by the transfer track. You've got the actual shed space. You've got the catwalks above. I know that inverted coasters don't use track inside the maintenance shed, but we always do, don't we? Because it represents what we're trying to do. So you've got the catwalks above the track and stuff to make it all make sense. And then the shed itself has the go away green on it, and then the vines growing on it, so that if you do get a peek through from in front of the gift shop, then you've at least got a wall of vines meeting you rather than the actual shed itself.
That makes a lot of sense. This is incredible. So for everyone who is like, what? This is going to be the last theme of the park. I think I mentioned it in a previous video. We're going to do a spooky forest, but it's going to be very, like you said, Dungeons and Dragons, Feywild, hags, nightmare. That's kind of the vibe. So this was the anchor attraction, and then my job's going to be to fill out the rest of this area. The sandy area here is what we have to work with. So that means a spooky station, which I will figure out how to make that work. I might have to move it just a little bit, but that's for me to figure out.
No moving.
This is so good. Now, and so I don't know what else to say, but thank you so much.
Well, no, thank you for letting me do it. Like, this has been a lot of fun.
I'm so glad.
And building in a park that I've always aspired to, because Conifer Slopes obviously has been going for quite some time. So, but before my channel, so to be in the park doing something in it 4 years down the line of starting my channel is thank you, Bandit. Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored.
It's no problem at all. And like I said, look, I mean, this is an incredible addition. I could never have done something like this. And to be able to deal with my insanity and my constant changing of ideas was nothing short of heroic. So again, if you don't know who Nerdchacho is, now you do, and you need to do yourself a favor and go subscribe. Not only is he amazing at Planet Coaster, he has all the hot deets on Planet Coaster 2. Because thank God the people making that game recognized him as awesome enough to be in on the loop. Much well-deserved. So for all Planet Coaster 2 content, plus awesome Planet Coaster, what's your next project going to be in Planet Coaster?
So right now, as we're recording this, I'm going to hop back into Beachy Point and do a real quick water park. Just to get some inspiration for the next park, which is going to be the final series in Planet Coaster 1, and that'll be a Thorpe Park style park.
So there you go. So this was practice for your Thorpe style, right? Because that's where Nemesis Inferno is, right?
Yeah. For sure.
Well, I know I've said it a ton, but I can't thank you enough. Let's collab in Planet Coaster 2, huh?
I am so up for that. Let's do it. Because you can pass parks.
Yeah.
Let's totally do it.
That'll be great. So I guess that's going to do it for Conifer Slopes here. We're going to go in and get some awesome cinematics. So, if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit that like button. Consider subscribing because I'm going to be playing Planet Coaster 2, and we're not done with this series. The goal is to finish this before Planet Coaster 2 comes out. So, thanks so much for being here. Have yourself a great day, great night, great whatever, and I will see all of you for the next episode of Conifer Slopes. Take care, everyone, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.